So, we're going to go through what an infection is. So, an infection is an invasion of tissue by microorganisms. So, when microorganisms enter your blood, enter your body, enter your system, that's what an infection is. When they come and they replicate and they cause damage. An infectious disease is an infection that causes an infection. An infectious disease is an infection that causes a disease, such as bronchitis and chickenpox. And a silent infection is an infection that doesn't really show symptoms like at first. That's what a silent infection is. Next are pathogens. So pathogens are specifically the microbes that cause an infectious disease. Bronchitis and chickenpox. So those are pathogens. Pathogens are the harmful bacteria, harmful microorganisms that include bacteria, viruses, cellular and acellular. They're all pathogens if they cause an infectious disease. And they can be transmitted through contact, either direct or indirect. So direct contact is when someone with an infection with a pathogen directly touches someone and transfers that. And indirect is if, let's say, I'm infected and I touch a doorknob and someone else touches that doorknob, like the pathogens are still transferred, but there's no direct contact. So that's indirect contact of pathogens. Next is air. So that's airborne transmission. So if I sneeze in the air and someone breathes it in, that can be transferred as well. Food and water. If I'm in a kitchen and I'm touching knives or there's in my water, there's pathogens, they can enter my stream as well. Blood transfusions, that's where pathogens can be transferred. And transfers by animals are called vectors. So there's biological, then there's mechanical. Biological vectors is when the pathogen is inside the actual animal. So a mosquito carrying malaria, the malaria pathogens will be inside the mosquito. But mechanical vectors is when the pathogen is outside the organism. So like malaria might be not in the mosquito, but malaria could be on the legs of the mosquito, outside the mosquito, and that can be transferred between animals. So out of all the microbes in microorganisms, there's pathogens, then non-pathogens. So pathogens are microorganisms that cause a disease, by big names such as influenza, COVID, and measles. Non-pathogens are microorganisms that don't cause a disease, which is the majority, such as lactobacillus, endolimaxnana, and then entomobacterial. So these bacteria, they don't hurt us at all. They don't care about us. It's just us and them. They don't hurt us. Pathogens are the ones that cause an infectious disease. Opportunistic pathogens are non-pathogens that cause diseases when the immune system is appropriately weakened or is exposed to a certain body part. So if a non-pathogen doesn't hurt you when you're like completely healthy, it's not a pathogen. Like it's just bacteria. It doesn't hurt you. But that doesn't mean but if you're weakened, if there's an opportunity to become harmful, that's what an opportunistic pathogen is. An opportunistic pathogen is a microbe that can become harmful under appropriate conditions. Either your body is weakened, your immune system is being weakened, it's fighting something else, or maybe it's exposed to a specific part of your body. Like a bacteria might be harmless against my foot, but it can be deadly against my eye. Different parts of the body, different regions of exposure for different bacteria. That's opportunistic pathogens. Some examples is lactobacillus. We mentioned that before, which is it's a non-pathogen. It doesn't hurt us, but it is harmful in the dental cavities. So if by chance this harmless bacteria enters a dental cavity, it will then become a pathogen. So that's opportunistic pathogen. And when babies are born, at first, they have no normal flora. They have no bacteria to protect them. So they're weak to everything. They have no immune system. So a bacteria such as Staphylococcus aureus is harmful for newborn babies because there's no developed immune system and there's no competing normal flora. But immunity and normal flora develops within a week. So within a week, and susceptibility decreases. So that opportunity to infect when they have a low immune system and nothing to compete against, that's only a week period. Once that ends and they can fight for themselves, suddenly Staphylococcus aureus becomes non-pathogen. There's no more opportunity to infect, so it becomes harmless. And that is pathogens for today.